Hey, welcome to Living the Next Chapter. It's Dave. It's the end of the year. It's December 2024, and I wanted to jump on and share a bonus episode for you, just you and me. No guest, just you and me, right? And there's a book that I've come across through the Mel Robbins podcast, and I got the audio version of the book. It is amazing. The book is called Briefly, Perfectly Human: Making an Authentic Life by Getting Real About the End by Alua Arthur. Now, Alua was on Mel Robbins' podcast. I'll have a link in the show notes if you're interested in this. But she's a death doula, and I didn't even know what a death doula was, really, until I heard the interview with Mel, and it's a great interview. You got to listen to it. It's like a must listen. And it's all about what happens at the end of our life. And one of the things that I picked up on in the conversation was, I want you to just kind of either do this exercise on a piece of paper or mentally draw a line, however long you want. Just draw a line. And that line represents your life. Now, put a little dash somewhere along that line, beginning, middle, 3/4 of the way, 1/4 of the way, close to the end. Put a dash where you think your life is right now, and how much time after the dash to the end of the line is what you have left in life. To the best of your ability to predict the future, that's how much time you have left. So I'm 55. So my line is a certain length, and there's more life done than potentially what's ahead for me. And in that moment, losing my mother last year at this time, my father's been gone for years, realizing that people around me are just getting old. I'm getting old. And that beautiful piece of time that's left between now and the end of our days. How are we going to live these? How do we live these days without regret? How do we live a life that we're proud of? So the idea of a death doula is someone who's going to work with you. They can help you with estate planning, planning out your wishes for your funeral, for your family, helping you kind of arrange all of that stuff, but also then being bedside with you through your journey as your days come to an end. And it sounds like a beautiful bond where some people, for some reason, whatever happened in life, don't have anybody for them at the end of their days. Maybe they never had children. Maybe their partner's already gone on. And they're alone. There's nobody for them. And someone like Alua, as a death doula, will be there with you. Not only to give you the information and the support to do all the legal stuff that happens, but to be there to hold your hand and to celebrate you. And it's interesting listening to the audiobook, listening to the episode with Mel Robbins. Alua shares her story about how she got into this, how she became a death doula, what a death doula actually does, and walks you through it all. So in Briefly, Perfectly Human, this book that Alua has just recently released, she takes us through her transformation through her memoir, and it challenges us as a reader to confront our mortality and to use that awareness to live a more fulfilling life in the time we have left on that line after the dash. As America's leading death doula, Alua brings a unique perspective to the often taboo subject of death, infusing her own narrative with warmth, generosity, and some pretty hilarious moments as well, which are quite unexpected for a book and such a heavy topic. If you're facing in your circle of friends, family, whatever, somebody has got bad news and you're going to be the one to be the support, you need this book. You need to listen to it or read it. because the things you're going to hear in there, like how to respond to bad news, how to respond when somebody tells you they're dying, what to say, what not to say, what to do, what not to do, and how you can be the support this person needs in their final day journey. This book really weaves together all of Alua's personal experiences, including her family's escape from a violent coup in Ghana, her battles with depression, the loss of her brother-in-law to lymphoma. These profound encounters with death and transformation serve as a backdrop for her journey to becoming a death doula and founding her organization, Going with Grace. The one thing when Alua was talking about being bedside with her brother-in-law through his battle with cancer is she didn't call him a brother-in-law, she called him a brother-in-love. A brother-in-love instead of a brother-in-law. I rewound that several times listening to the audiobook and went, how do we not call people that? Brother and sister in love instead of in law. I'm like totally unexpected that caught my attention just in a passing comment, but I love that. Alua's writing really does shine with empathy, with wisdom, as she shares really intimate stories, like actual stories of her bedside with someone and their journey. She's changed the names and some situations to keep privacy, but you really feel like you're in the room in the moment when people have their last breath. She talks about it. She just unpacks everything. And if you're afraid of the topic of death, if you're afraid of talking about it with your partner, with your children, you are afraid of your own mortality, you need to read or listen to this book. I would suggest listening to it because you can rewind it. You can do other things while you're listening. And to hear her read her own words to you is just a unique experience. I just love it. She really goes through and explores the concept of death embrace, advocating for open discussions about mortality and how to plan your end of life carefully. And this approach, she argues, not only eases the burden on loved ones, but also unlocks a profound insight and helps you to grow personally and confront your own mortality at the same time. This memoir goes way beyond simply recounting experiences and stories, and it offers readers an amazing framework for thinking about death and its role in shaping a meaningful life. Arthur's message is clear: by acknowledging and preparing for our inevitable end, which we all have, we can live more authentically and purposefully. Briefly, Perfectly Human is praised for its honesty and its raw and inspirational perspective. And it has the ability to transform you as a reader or as a listener. It helps you to confront your outlook on both life and death. It serves as a powerful testament to the importance of bearing witness to life's painful complexities and finding peace in our finite existence. For those seeking a thought-provoking and deeply human exploration of mortality and its impact on living, Arthur's debut offers a compassionate, insightful, and potentially life-changing read for you as you think about this topic. We all have this journey that we're on. And for some of you, you're like in your 20s. You're bulletproof. But if you ever turn on the news, if you've ever sat with somebody who's received bad news about their health or their family's health, if you've ever lost someone who has just not been able to do life and has ended their life early on purpose, this book gives you so many answers and such an amazing framework that you can put into place to help you navigate your own mortality or those around you. As our parents get older, as we turn from children to caregiver of our families. It's a path that all of us walk, but we don't talk about it enough. We don't share our struggles and our journeys with each other because we're afraid to bring up the topic. And I know even like in our own family and our circle of friends between my wife and I, we know people who are too young to be on the journey they are on right now. And we don't know what to say. We don't know what to do. Like, how do we show up? How do we be a great support to these people without even having a sweet clue of what to say? And I just think we need to figure out what our end goal is. So one of the examples from the book that really stood out to me was a gentleman planned out his funeral and he was cremated. And what he wanted was, he had his family go get those little, they'd be like kind of like a pill bottle that you get from the pharmacist, you know, those little plastic bottles with the white caps. He had a whole bunch of these, like 100 of them or so. And he had his family put pieces like of his ashes in each of the containers. And at the funeral, there's 100 vials of his ashes there up in a basket. And the family invited, at the request of the deceased, to come and grab a vial of his ashes and take it with you. But take his ashes somewhere meaningful. Either meaningful to your relationship with the deceased, you knew of a place that they love to go, whatever. And take a picture of where you've taken our loved one and send it back to the family. So his ashes, through all those gathered at the funeral, went and traveled the world and ended up in places that would have brought a smile to the deceased. And I'm like, that is pre-planning. That is thinking ahead, going, what do I want? Instead of our families struggling to piece together a memorial for a loved one that's gone with no direction. I mentioned my mother passed away last year. It was within a short amount of time, and we never had the chance to talk about any of this stuff. We never took the opportunity to talk about this. The topic just never came up. And when my mother passed away, suddenly, there was no asking her. There was no way to get her thoughts, her wishes. So we kind of had to piece together what we thought would honor her with really no idea. So this book, whether you read it or you listen, will help you to think about your own mortality, but also then be a better ally to those in your lives who need you the most. So I am strongly recommending for you, it's not a downer. This is meant to be something to make you go, you know what? I look at that line I talked about at the beginning, and that dash is like really far down the line. There's not a lot of line after the dash when I figure out where I feel like I'm at in my lifespan. What am I going to do with that last little bit? And the one thing that somebody mentioned to me a long time ago was when you look at a gravestone, you'll see a date of birth and a date of death. And what's in between those two dates? When you look at the headstone, what do you see? Birth date, when they were born, and when they passed. What's in between? A small little line, a dash. And that dash represents your entire life. That dash represents every smile, every tear, every struggle, every success. That dash represents your children being born. That dash represents the love that you've had and the people that have been in your life and the friends and family. That dash represents your career. That dash represents everything from your first breath to your last. And it's such a small little dash on that headstone. But that represents you. And I'm encouraging you as you wrap up 2024 and you start making glorious plans for 2025 on how you're going to live your life, that you recognize that that dash is all you have. And you want to make sure you use every inch of that dash. From the birth to your passing. Make that dash count. Go grab a copy of this book. It's a great gift for yourself over the holidays, a gift for your loved ones, a gift for anyone who's struggling right now. Go grab a copy of this book. Give it to somebody or give them the audio download to do something. And help people to understand that there's someone out here with some answers that can really guide and direct them. So, again, the book from Alua Arthur, I love it. Briefly, perfectly human, making an authentic life by getting real about the end. I love the audio version. Grab the hard copy if you wish. But definitely, this is a must-read for you. So please, use the links in the show notes. Go grab a copy. And I'd love to hear your thoughts at livingthenextchapter.com. Leave me a message. I'd love to hear what you thought about this book. Happy holidays. Thank you for being here this entire year, 2024. Looking forward to another great year in 2025. More great authors, more great stories, more great connections with you as the listener. And I'd love to hear from you anytime. livingthenextchapter.com. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being you. And live that dash. Take care. Hey, thanks for listening to Living the Next Chapter. Again, a huge, humongous thank you for being part of the Living the Next Chapter family in 2024. Great episodes coming up in 2025. Everything you need to know about Living the Next Chapter can be found at livingthenextchapter.com. Love for you to go there, check it out. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on your favorite author so far on the podcast. Reach out at livingthenextchapter.com. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening to the show. Happy New Year to everybody as we get close to the end of the year. And keep reading, keep supporting our amazing authors. Thanks for being here.